So let's start the panel on blockchain in gaming and entertainment. And I think it's really a fascinating topic as a blockchain use cases in different types of entertainment and in gaming. Uh, that's kind of blockchain can change the rules in these particular industries. I think we will start with introducing ourselves. My name is Fedor Panteleev. I'm a product director of the LATOKEN platform, and we'll be moderating this discussion.
Hi, my name is Doug Branstätter. I'm the CEO of Qravity. We're a digital production entertainment studio working with decentralized teams. The goal is to empower creatives and to remove industry hurdles to get into the industry which are prevalent in the media industry. We empower creatives to work on teams together, to collaborate, use our platform, which is offering project management tools as well as the whole organizing of the revenue streams. People are earning stakes in the projects they work on, so they profit from their work. They're investing in our projects which are hosted on the platform. So we call it a kind of skill funding because it's similar to crowdfunding, but people are actually investing their time and their skills into the projects they're working on, and they're getting rewarded with project stakes. So it's a pretty unique model we're developing right now. We are at MVP stage. MVP will be released in about 2 weeks on our page on Qravity.com. And well, looking forward to the discussion here. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name's Luke Lombe. I'm from PlayUp. I feel like there's not really anyone listening right now. We've had the show stolen from us by the women in blockchain. And yeah, another round of applause for the women in blockchain. How about that? It's good. We need to see more girls in this space. It's a very male-dominated industry, that's for sure. So they're getting a lot of attention over there. And I think there's a few eyeballs looking at us. But anyway, we'll keep going. So I'm with PlayUp. PlayUp have the Play Chip. The Play Chip is the universal gaming token for sports betting, fantasy sports, esports, and general gaming and gambling table games. We are a bit of a backwards ICO because we are a going concern. We're a real business, not just a white paper. We have over 500,000 users on 6 platforms that are currently downloadable right now on the App Store. We're operating in 70 countries and generating $430 million in turnover. We've just acquired 2 new platforms, so we'll have 8 and 800,000 users when we announce that officially in a couple of weeks' time. We're the authorized service provider for many large gaming, including the NBA, the NFL, the Premier League soccer, esports like League of Legends and Dota, and you name it, we can cover it, and you can bet on our platform. We're in our ICO right now, a pre-sale, I should say. It started on June 1st. It goes until the end of July, and then we have a 2-day public sale. So looking forward to having an interesting conversation with my esteemed colleagues up here on the panel.
Thanks so much, Luke. So, hi everyone, nice to meet you. My name is Jean-Loïck Michaux. I'm the CEO and founder of the Serendipia Cooperative. And basically, we are gamifying, solving the sustainable development goals. So we're using game mechanics to incentivize people to do good in the world. And indeed, as you may know, actually the gamifying panel for me is one of the most important of this forum, for the simple reason that I believe we live in some people say we live in a simulation, as Elon Musk said, but I really think that like the whole world and our global economy is come down to like game mechanics, where the more you do good, like the more money you earn, basically. But right now it's very arbitrary and it's very centralized, controlled by government and banks. But then now we can actually create very flexible and creative games, and anyone in the world can create their own game, creating a utility token around it and create behavioral incentives and using behavioral economics around that. So now we are creating a crypto Kickstarter for social good, where we are actually rewarding people in our ecosystem to do social good and solve the sustainable development goals from the United Nations. Because we would like the richest people in the world to be the guy doing the most good for the world and not the guy with the most money. So that's how we use game mechanics to incentivize new behaviors. And excited to talk about it here.
Cool. So my name is Aron Beierschmitt. I am actually subbing in for Brett Saylor, the CEO of Beyond Games. I'm the GM. He's in Europe closing our pre-sale. We're a venture-backed mobile gaming firm. Our first title, Battle Strike Force, is launched is soft launched currently. It has Sylvester Stallone signed on to be the face of the game. We're very excited with the early metrics. Early last year, we recognized the opportunity to merge gaming and blockchain, and we are releasing LATOKEN, which is a platform for game developers. Gives game developers the opportunity to tokenize their in-game economies and share in a overall ecosystem of titles participating in the underlying token. Excited to be here.
I'm Doug Shinsato. I am a member of the Board of Regents of the University of Hawaii. And the reason I'm here today is that my university has a brand new Academy for Digital Media, or Creative Media. And our director is Chris Lee, who has years and years of experience as the president of TriStar Columbia Pictures and recently as CEO of Bad Hat Harry. And the reason that's important is that as we bring on digital technology and as we add blockchain, if you look at the traditional cost structure, very high overhead in Hollywood, what you see on the screen is $1 million per minute. A lot of the reasons that great or successful producers and directors are moving from Hollywood to television is that television can do that same minute, different technologies, different cost structure, for $100,000 a minute. Now, if you look at digital media, especially for the smartphone, companies that want to stay in business, making a sustainable profit, have to do 1 minute in $1,000 per minute. And a lot of that, because the cost structure is so low, there are going to be a lot of people who claim intellectual property rights or copyright on a concept or the visual medium or the music. So blockchain is very, very important from a chain of title perspective. The other reason I'm here is that I am a co-founder and a board director of this company called Heyu Media. And it is digital. We have a feature film division, but we also have a smartphone web series division, which is 1 to 8 minutes per episode. The founder, who will be 85 years old in 2 months, is actually a very famous actor, writer, director, Tom Skerritt. In fact, 2 of his films, even though he's never won an Academy Award, 2 of his films, Alien and MASH, are in the American Film Institute's top 15. He would have joined us here today, but he's in Broadway for the summer on a Broadway play called Straight White Men with Armie Hammer and another Hollywood film star who's going to be on Broadway. But I hope I can learn from my colleagues here on the stage and learn from the questions you ask about blockchain in gaming and entertainment.
I think we can start the discussion with basically how we see, how all of you guys see the how the industry of gaming, let's start with gaming, will be changed with the blockchain, it's called, and why we basically need it there. Why we need to decrease transactional costs, especially in gaming. Why do we need decentralized ledgers there? Who can start?
I guess I'll field that one. So I think our perspective on the matter, and one of the reasons we're creating the LATOKEN platform, is to actually create a layer of separation between a game developer and a base chain, say Ethereum. We don't want to have to wait on the scaling solutions to become realized for game developers to actually take advantage of the blockchain. I think players for a very long time have experienced situations where they've sunk a lot of time and energy and effort into a game, and then at the end there's no way to extract value out of that experience and plug it into the next game that you're on to. And there's never really been a shared ecosystem of game developers collaborating with each other to actually build shared value.
Look, I think the advantages of the blockchain for the gaming industry are pretty self-evident, particularly for gambling as well. I mean, there are a host of problems that exist within the current gambling infrastructure. Trust issues, number one, transparency issues as well. commissions. We're looking at the time to get money into the platforms, to get money out. The blockchain really unlocks a world of value. So particularly in our area with online gaming and gambling, you know, what we're seeing is, and what we're seeing in the competitive side of things here with other players in the space, is that there are now provably fair platforms whereby if you're playing a table game, whether it be poker or blackjack or baccarat or whatever it might be, that you know that you're playing in a fair system where the game's not rigged, where you don't have bots that you're playing against, and you can see that through the smart contract and being embedded in the blockchain. Having that immutable ledger as well, seeing the trail of money going back and forth, making sure that all of the bets are recorded accurately. So if there's any issues at all that arise from a bet or the timing of a bet or how it went down, then this can be proven through the blockchain. You don't have any problems with SP bookmakers withholding money when there's some contentious situations going on. It's also about internationalizing the game as well. I mean, we're in 70 countries right now, and we already have a token, but we're turning that into a crypto. And what this does is it allows us, allows our users to access the freedom and the flexibility of transferring money through crypto, through credit card, quickly, really effortlessly as well. And we see this as being a huge value add. So the benefits of the blockchain are really quite obvious for us in gambling and I think gaming. And I'm not sure, what do you think in your world?
Yeah, so I mean, I think what's really like world changing here is the tokenization of the economy. Creating tokens and programmable money where you can really decide of how this token will be rewarded and like create incentive system is what allows us to create a new world basically where you can gamify what's happening in the real world using those tokens. Where before that flexibility and creativity was only available to people building games. Like if you look at World of Warcraft, you can see the passion that there is in people when they actually have the creativity to like kind of like help to co-create and co-program the game. So now with like those token ecosystem and with those utility tokens, you actually can recreate in real life those incentive system. So the whole tokenization of the economy is what will actually make it more similar to a game. Actually, it will take years, and that's what we're working on now. But that's where we're heading. So in our case, like the money we're programming now is based on the SDGs from the UN, meaning that if your action or what you are building is creating a positive impact for the world or like helping to fight against climate change, we're going to give you tokens for that. So it's like you create, and it's like you are in the Sims where you can like really like see a dashboard of your actions for the world, and you can see how you can adapt your actions based on data to get more tokens and make more positive change in the world. So that's how, like, the biggest benefit of blockchain is the token economics for me.
Well, in case of Qravity, we really take advantage of the known benefits of the blockchain, of course, transparency and having immutable records, which is important for the content creators contributing on projects on our web platform. We moved away from this original concept of having a black box of teams not knowing what the other one's doing exactly, or what other team members are earning, or what exactly the result of their tasks are. In our case, it's blockchain really helps us to display everyone who's participating in our projects, knowing what's going on within the project, knowing what other people are earning, knowing what their own rank is in workload in comparison to other team members. So yeah, blockchain was a pretty integral addition to the concepts that we are now developing.
In the case of visual entertainment, the industry is currently at $40 billion worldwide. That total number is expected to grow, but the big issue is that revenue per view is expected to go down. And that means the real value of blockchain and tokenization is that there will be confirmable ledgers so that the owners of the content or the distributors who are owed money know exactly how much they're going to be owed. The other thing is that tokens can then also be a 21st century digital version of advertising costs and advertising revenue. Again, those are confirmable. They're in an immutable ledger. So for example, if you have an 8-minute webcast drama and Coca-Cola shows up 5 times, the viewer decides to stop the video in order to take advantage of a Coca-Cola free 6-pack. The token is generated. Coca-Cola owns, either the distributor or the content owner, some form of money, which is then transferred in a form of a token. And that token is based on an immutable blockchain ledger.
You know, one thing I think is really fascinating about this space, and particularly what you're doing actually, and what we're talking about now, is this incentivizing mechanism that the tokens allow. When you combine gamification and incentives, it really unlocks a world of opportunity. And I think what you're doing with social good is fantastic, and I applaud that. What was the name of your company again?
Serendipia.
Serendipia, good stuff. Look it up. That looks great. And I think, you know, we've seen this in some other areas as well. I'm not sure how many people here use Google Maps to navigate. And then there's Waze, W-A-Z-E, which is a great app for when you're driving around. What they've done is they've tried to gamify it by giving you points if you recognize, well, there's a police officer here or there's a traffic hazard here. So that more people that interact and they contribute to this ecosystem, to this environment, they get these reward mechanisms. Now, the problem with that is it doesn't work, because the rewards don't mean anything. You get some points and great, you might get a little avatar picture change, but it's not really beneficial or useful. If we can tokenize models like that, if we can offer a real value, a world value to the incentive mechanisms there, then we have the potential to unlock a lot of creativity and a lot of opportunity and a lot of positive externalities, like with what you're doing with your company, for the greater good, and that's fantastic. And I think in our world, which is a little different, you know, gambling and social good don't tend to go hand in hand. But that said, you know, we still have incentive mechanisms in place as well. You know, the token allows us to increase the prize pools to make sure that people have bigger rewards, bigger payouts, encourages you know, more of a community and more dynamism within our ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think if you think about it, blockchain and token economics will allow us to actually gamify the whole world. I mean, not only from behavioral incentives, but also it opens the field of competitive governance, where actually building governance and microeconomies is becoming a game as well, where you will be able as a citizen to plug in and plug out of communities, depending on where you feel as a citizen and a community member who will be better treated. But then this comes down to a game, right? It's like the real world Sims. Who here played with the Sims? Are you familiar with the Sims? I don't know, like, okay, like many people here actually. So if you think about the Sims, or you can like go from a city to another, build your house and all of that, like now, you will have the choice to plug in and plug out of blockchains and in communities with as much ease as in the Sims. It may take like 20 years to reach that stage, but that's what we are like busy building the foundation for. So competitive governance is a huge gamification use case as well.
Yeah, so we talked a lot about gaming, but it's also fascinating how I think blockchain can change the traditional industry and traditional entertainment industry, such as movies, except for copyright, right? I think could be some usage, and I believe, Duke, you can have some insights on that, if I'm right. No, not copyright protection, but use of the blockchain in traditional entertainment industry, like movies, music, except the copyright. Maybe we can find, and maybe we can talk about some other use cases there, except of
yeah. Actually, there's a really cool one. And there was a guy who was sitting here 5 minutes ago who had a cap. I don't know where he is, but he had a cap with the Spank Chain logo. Like, are you guys familiar with Spank Chain? Spank Chain, no? Yeah. So, I mean, it's a pretty fun use case in the end. So, like, basically, Spank Chain is like using like the entertainment industry related to porn and like striptease or like web or cameras or like nude cameras, and they give the right that was centralized in the hand of like mafia or like macros and like people who were like abusing from girls. And they're actually the blockchain is putting the right of the girls right in their hands when they control the content that they are creating and being rewarded with the Spank token. So it's a platform where we can see like live webcams and cameras of those girls, but they control their own content and all the money goes straight to them. So that's really cool.
And I think that's the key here as well, and that's what the point of the blockchain is. It's taking out the middleman, and we're seeing it in all sorts of industries. It's the same thing with the entertainment industry as well. Musicians, People that are creative, authors, publishers, bloggers, these people have the ability to connect directly with their audience, get rewarded for the work that they do directly by their audience on a pay-per-view, pay-per-click, pay-per-read, pay-per-listen basis without having to go through the traditional channels like the music, big music companies, big publishing houses and so on. And I think this democratization of entertainment in general unlocks massive potential, and we're only just starting to scrape the surface. You know, there are some companies that are on board that are trying to provide the infrastructure for this. There's a few that escape my mind right now, but I've certainly seen it in the music industry and the few that I've just mentioned now. And as we see these intermediaries being taken away from the game and people being able to directly converse with their audience, then it unlocks so much possibility and potential.
And speaking about other use cases, especially copyright, in the music industry, millions of songs are published and performed every year. But the copyright issue is only important for a very, very small handful that become blockbusters. That's because then ownership is looking at a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But if you look at the starving musicians today who try to reach their audiences directly, if they go through an Apple platform, they have to pay 30% of revenues. So this whole idea of democratization, directly connecting the creative musician with his or her audience, means that the 30% commission payment disappears, the agent's 15% disappears, and there is a distributed ledger that says the musician is owed this much because I've had 2,000 listeners this week.
And just on the copyright nature as well, time-stamping. When a particular creative piece has been created, that's time-stamped, it's in the blockchain, it removes all the legal issues and the legalities in terms of battling over who owns what. And I think that's something that's really got a lot of potential as well.
In one sentence, really, what it allows to is that to allow people to create value and having the proof that they actually created it for themselves, and they are their own accountant and notaries in the end. So that's really the magic for artists, where they can like return the value of what they are creating and show that they time-stamped it. I mean, yeah.
So we have like 10 minutes for questions.
Hi, excellent feedback from each of you founders and CEOs. Hopefully you can hear me. My name's Neil. I'm from vMarket. We're a virtual content marketplace, but the question I have for each of you is, have you set your businesses up as sort of walled gardens, or is there ways for APIs to be utilized by other developers to access the benefits that you as businesses offer? Number one, because one of the frustrations that happens in this industry is that everybody, or many times you have sort of competitors or potential partners that are doing their own coins, and therefore there's difficulties in merging, not merging, but basically partnering, because one company wants their coin to be the one that is the coin of use. One of the ways that I envision this being possibly solved is through the use of some kind of exchange functionality between the API user and the API provider. Have you guys got any thoughts on that? And have you built your business up to leverage partnerships as such?
So okay, I can start quickly. I mean, on our side, we are big proponents of the open source community. So I think like what's really like tokenization and blockchain without open source can lead to big dictatorship. So I think that everybody in this room here actually should be highly encouraged to be part of the open source community, the open source mindset, APIs, exchange of APIs, token swap, and to create a world that's as open as possible. So in our case, we will like our social goods impact assessment algorithm will be an API that people will be able to plug in. We still need to use our token, but then we'll be able for people to access it. And we are a big proponent of open source in general. That's what I'm going to say.
In terms of what we're doing, it's a little different. We're building our own ecosystem of platforms, gaming, gambling, esports, fantasy sports. So we have this whole world of opportunity that people can interact with. but we are very much open to partnerships. We are very much open to synergistic outcomes with other companies. And I've had some conversations just today that are looking very promising on that front. We're also quite aggressive. We're buying companies too. In terms of our ICO for Playchip, 55% of the funds are being spent on marketing to grow the user base, and then another large chunk is being spent on acquisitions. Now, we just announced 2. We have more coming down the pipeline. We're buying companies, we're buying platforms to incorporate into our ecosystem to grow the user base, to grow the value in total. So it's a slightly different approach.
Well, we're open to partnerships, definitely, especially in the distribution, content distribution field. But interesting point, API, we don't offer it yet. We have considered it, doing it, but in a way, we want to build up our own service and don't spread around the content creators too much. What we want is that content creators really come to our platform, using our service and growing the platform together with us. And the long-term vision is to really build up a content catalog of Qravity projects. So API is not really on the table right now, but we might consider it in the future.
So as far as building a walled garden, it's kind of funny you bring that up. But we were originally looking at just releasing our own token into our own game, and we very quickly realized that's not going to have a lot of staying power. The vast majority, 55% of our token supply, is reserved for grants to other developers to come and build on our platform. And then, of course, beyond that, we're doing direct integrations with Bancor and a few other cross-currency exchanges, OX protocol as well, to ensure that the wallet has enough flexibility for the users to be able to broaden out and not just be restricted to our ecosystem.